So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I actually sell my recruitment services. Now, I've made quite a few videos on it. This is just going to be an overview of pretty much all those videos. So in terms of selling service, what I mean is contacting companies that will entail give you positions to work on, and you send candidates across. However you source your candidates, I won't go into that in this video. However, it will be touching on how you actually attract clients, and the best way to go about it. So what I want to obviously establish is what sort of industry you're in first of all, because every industry is going to be different. For example, I came from the automotive recruitment industry, which is purely based on phone calls. So it's very rare I would even send a CV across. It's more of, you just schedule a face-to-face meeting. So you'd contact the employer and say, look, I've got this candidate for yourself. And they'll say, yeah, send them down for a cup of tea. We'll have a chat. And usually it's based on trial days. So you just have one day in the workshop and just see how it goes from there. And if they want to offer them the position. That's pretty much how it goes. With my sort of corporate level, which I'm doing now for my company, which is language based, it will potentially be very much so a corporate sort of office based environment. So it's very much emails, followed up by phone calls when there's something important, or usually scheduled phone calls. Now, the way the market's moving now, I tend to find that it's very much email based, with phone calls scheduled. So not necessarily phone calls out of the blue. Cold calling does work to a degree, but how the phone call will end is always via email. So it's always, please send me more information, or send me your terms of business. Very rarely someone will actually take the call and you'll be able to pitch for half an hour. If they do, chances are they probably won't take the business in the end. They like to get approval from elsewhere, and also follow up with yourself, any questions that may be outstanding or any terms you need to sort of adjust for them. So it's, in terms of the process itself, what you'll be looking at is, establishing who your sort of target market is. I mean, I wouldn't always go for pie in the sky. So, how can I put it? If you're in accountancy or you're doing finance, I wouldn't go for the big five first of all. That's later on, or, very selective roles and you can get your foot in the door. I wouldn't put too much effort because it's usually a very long cycle. And believe me, there's massive companies calling them pretty much every single day, just trying to get hold of someone. So I wouldn't necessarily target those. So you want to target people in the range of 30 to 200 employees. Now, that's a good figure I use. Sometimes I use 70 to 120 employees. Really and truly, you don't want to go any smaller than that because the budget wouldn't be there. And those companies can survive without, a certain person on board. Whereas a large company, if they don't have someone in finance, for example, they've got no one to put through their payroll or to send invoices or chase invoices up. So it's quite detrimental to their business. As well as a sales team, if they haven't got someone on the sales team, they're losing revenue or market share to their competitors. So you want to always target those sorts of companies. Now, how I would go about it is always through HR. I wouldn't contact talent acquisition as much unless you're referred to them as the point of call. Usually talent acquisition people, which is their in-house recruiters, tend to have, authority or a set budget to put a certain row out. So if they don't fill a position within 3 months, they're obliged to give it to an external agency who will help fill it. You want to have a niche. So not necessarily, I recruit for all finance sectors. You want to target sort of accounts payable when you're starting off, or, credit control, or, anything around there. So just accountants with 5 years experience, for example, that could be another sector. I would not go along the lines of very broad. So I recruit for office staff. That's very blasé, very vague, and you'll establish that and you'll move towards that once you get, a lot of sort of companies in different areas. What does really well is sort of, nursery nurses, primary school teachers, teaching assistants, mechanics. Those sort of sectors are always going to be in demand, and it's very sort of quick. If they don't have a mechanic, no one can fix the cars. If they don't have a teaching assistant, no one can look after the children at school. Obviously look into what you need for those sort of sectors. But with regards to that, you want to look for those sorts of companies. So with the process itself, you want to be looking at, how can I put it? Emailing the people. So it's usually HR directors I would start off. If you find company CEOs, email them as well. I've made videos, check out the channel. on videos how to actually do that and approach clients, potential clients. Send an email out just saying, look, I've seen you advertising this, can we be of assistance? That's pretty much it. After that, if they come back and they've got questions around it, how much do you charge, what's your fee, look to schedule a call with them. Now, cold calling is obviously going to be not for everyone, especially starting off, but emails are very easy to do. And once you've got a scheduled call, it's such a nice call. It's never going to be anything along the lines of, awkward, because they're receptive to your call. They've taken time out, at 2:30 on Wednesday, for example. They will obviously have a time scheduled and they're not looking to rush off. Chances are they will be looking to rush off, but you just want to sort of give them as much information. So with the call, I just start off saying, look, this is the background of my agency, this is the background of myself, being helpful. I would say, look, would it be helpful just at the beginning of the call just to explain a bit about our services and our company as a whole? So then you'd go on to, we've been established since, 2012, and then just move on from there. We recruit for this, as well as, we've got capacity to recruit for all these positions as well. So yeah, that's how the conversation will go. And just ask them what's important to them, what they're looking for, what does a candidate profile look like, or the ideal candidate profile, and just find out, more information about the role itself. Ask them for a job description, which they probably will send across to you, or you can find it online, and then begin recruiting. Do find out if they're interviewing anyone at the moment as well, because that's quite important. And any other positions they need help with. It's always a good opportunity, not just one role. Chances are they could give you 10 positions. And it's certainly not unheard of that, one client can bring in £200,000 in revenue for, a single consultant from one phone call. So yeah, it's definitely worth doing. And then just from there on in, just, search for the candidates and email them across. Usually a phone call when there's an offer. As well. So from there on in, you only really do 2-3 conversations before you get paid on the phone. So that's my sort of process. That's how I go about sort of recruitment on the client side. I will be doing a candidate video a bit later on as well.